meta model patterns. Listen to them in yourself. Now, you can hear meta model patterns in others, like should, ought to, have to, can't, impossible, mind reads, all, everybody. Now, there's more than one way to get to the heart of something. So you don't necessarily always, they're the patterns, have to, that I'm feeding the patterns back, exactly what I said, don't have to necessarily always have to. Challenge a meta model pattern directly, how specifically, what specifically, according to whom, how do you know, etc. Although you can. You know, other options is to listen to the pattern and match it and tell metaphors. Or feed it back, I mean, this depends on the context, feed it back so you are completely overdoing it and it irritates the other person. If you don't mind irritating people. Yeah? So feed back the pattern so much. That's a really good way of giving somebody feedback. Feed back their pattern. Yeah, but overdo it. So that's one. So meta model patterns, rep systems, stuck rep systems. So usually when a problem is pervasive, this depends on the structure or structure. What do you think in a problem state that is really overwhelming for a person, and I've given you a clue, is going to be a likely, but not always, dominant rep system? Kinesthetic, yeah? So the feeling weighs somebody down. People say, I feel the weight of my world on my shoulders. And because the feeling weighs somebody down, and it's so intense, they're stuck in first position. Yeah, victim mode, stuck in first. So rep system in it, you know, it could be any of the others. If someone's an overwhelm, it could be so much visuals coming in. If it's a work situation, you know. But we'll just stick with kinesthetic for now, yeah? There's going to be a stuck perceptual position. Now, if someone's in their kinesthetics, the stuck perception position will be first. In this case, yeah? And they'll have a metaphor attached to it. I'm stuck in the mud. I'm drowning. Blah-de-blah. You hear this stuff, yeah? This is level one change. Now, it could be that they got 2 meta model, 3 meta model patterns, which is repetitive for them, yeah? You know, the rep system could be they're stuck in visual. Yeah, in that case, it's just what they might see would constantly be images of that are not supportive of them. So there is a, I mean, I'm not sure if it's a truth in this or not, but there is a bit of folklore in NLP that when Richard Bandler originally created what's a pattern called the swish pattern in NLP, it's an old submodality pattern, you know, where somebody identifies an area in their life, a problem state, usually a habit, but not always, like biting their nails, smoking cigarettes, eating the biscuits, where they make an image associated themselves at the trigger. Yeah? And then they shrink that, they associate that image, then they make another image of themselves, quite a generative image with a lot of new choices. If they got all of the new choices in their life that they are seeking in that same frame. Yeah, so they're doing something different at that trigger. So you make that image disassociated. All right? And then you shrink it down, bring back the first one, swish one out, swish one in. Or sometimes swish up to the left, swish up to the right, dependent on different stages of its publication. It's okay. I mean, it's an old pattern. Yeah? But the rumor has it that Richard Bandler created this pattern by observing people who suffer or experience states of depression. That when they got a first position trigger of something being positive in their life, it's a nice day today, Boom, yeah, lovely. Bang, swish it. It's going to rain later. All right? You know, or, you know, they get some feedback about, we're going to go on holiday. Swish it, the plane might crash. Don't worry, soul. So, you know, what these could be, these visual, the stuck position could be a visual. Could be an auditory. Someone's voice is, they've got an overwhelming voice inside, you know. So one of these will usually stand out in a client context. Two could, but one will normally stand out. Now, in classic NLP, one of the things that was hypothesized by Bandler Grinder was that the resource state of a change state will come in a different representational system than the problem, or be accessed. Therefore, by opening up the rep systems to all systems in any context, without trying to change anything yet, gives a triple description in rep systems. By getting out of the visuals and paying attention to the auditories, paying attention to the kinesthetics, or vice versa, it's going to widen the map. It says, bear in mind, these rep systems are filters. Expanding perceptuals to get out of the stuck one, which could be first, or the others, to have a triple description in third. So you've got a full description now. Usually it'll be a metaphor. Work within the metaphor loosens up the map of the world. So you can then cycle through alternative kinesthetic, alternative kinesthetic, auditory, and visuals, just in that context. We haven't done the change work. We've just loosened up the map of the world. Does this make sense? Yeah, now how does it all link in with yesterday and the work that we did yesterday? And in fact, the work that we did today here when I was working with somebody who came in to be reevaluated in this. This is in what we call an Air NLP practitioner, level 1 coaching. Overlaps is primarily classic code as an observation process, but also recognizing that things are filtered this way. It's a filter. This is not real, it's a construct. So somebody's coming in with these meta-model patterns, it is a construct. It's how they're choosing to language their world, although they feel out of choice. Another thing is when you challenge these meta-model patterns, etc., move the perceptual positions, the first thing is, I think sometimes with change work, the client has to go through a process of that change. Yeah? So we could pop in a high-performance game, a new code game, yeah, into these areas to give the person an altered state. Now, sometimes, and I've seen it, yeah, all of a sudden the client had deep problems in this state. 15 minutes later, they got a high-performance state here. It's too much for them. It's like, how did that change quickly? Because there's not a trajectory of change. Yeah, it makes sense? When you do this with a person, I think a key thing for anybody in a coaching or change process, and I said this a lot on the practitioner course, is for people to take responsibility for their constructs. You're not taking responsibility for the problem, although the problem is yours. But you are responsible for the construct. Does this make sense? And when people get that, they realize it. Once they get that, when they go in, they will start rebuilding this naturally with no resources yet. When I mean no resources, without having been given any resources or accessing any of their human assets through the new code change processes that we share with them. So this is present. It's just like layers of change. Yeah? So we're looking at the kinesthetic here being a dominant. Yesterday, what we did was worked with that kinesthetic in different contexts. Bearing in mind, kinesthetic, you can make a picture, you can hear an internal sound. It takes a while to construct a feeling. Yeah? It's the most involuntary in the systems. Yeah? And let's say And if anybody, like the people who were doing the phobias with yesterday, let's say a trigger came that triggered their sensations or triggered it, that was not a cockroach or a spider or whatever it is they're phobic of, they will still have it and you can't turn it down until it's quite naturally. Well, you can, but it takes a bit of work. So yesterday we worked with kinesthetic in different ways. We're going deep into it. Yeah? Deep, deep into it. So number one, we work with kinesthetic as a signal, a tracking system. Now, interestingly enough, in these cases, two cases in particular, if you want to see evidence of really cool work in opening up to the unconscious, was Marie and Sol. We're going to also be a bit quiet. Marie and Sol. Yeah, both of whom experienced situations, phobic type responses or responses in contexts, but they're like, I don't know where this has come from. Or no exact trajectory of representations, images and sounds, where this has come from, unlike Paula and Zelinda, who had equally as strong kinesthetic responses in their contexts, but had access to the representations, otherwise known as memories, to when this began, or when they first, as far as they're aware, the first in a sequence, in this case as a 5-year-old, to the cockroaches, and in Paula's case as an adult, when she's going through those caves. So they are got representations of it, yeah, which we can work with the representations because that's a multi-sensory experience. So when they go into this context, the visual recalls, yeah, will cue the kinesthetics quickly. Whereas these other cases, the visuals are there. The knowledge of what was seen and heard was there, but buried away. And it's fascinating that when we did this, use this as a signal without attempting to see and hear anything, in both cases, Marie and Sol were presented with information from their unconscious. Can you pass my bag, please? That sack over there. That sack. I can't make inappropriate jokes on camera. Well, I can. No, not that one, sorry. See, there's a meta model thing. I asked, can you pass my bag? This is my bag, yeah? Which is fair enough, yeah? The other one. The one with, I'm just trying to be I'm not trying to be inappropriate, yeah? I'm trying to say, can you not pass me my sack of balls? Which I have now said on camera. I have now said on camera.
Thank you for the presentation.
Yeah? Which may now to be edited out. You've done it again, Michael, making jokes on cameras that editors have to edit. This is my sack. Okay. All right? And what's in my sack? Emotion.
Ground emotions.
So these are not balls in this sack, okay? These are experiences. What are they? Yeah, and you've got your sack of what? Experiences. Yeah, and you're carrying your sack of experiences on your back around like this. Oh, now some people have got a lot of experiences. Can you get me some more experiences, please? And 1 second, Colin, just bring them over. If you just put them in. We'll just come back, everybody. We'll just get some more experiences to put in my sack. Even more. Let's fill this sack with experiences. Right, ladies, boys, come on, Carlos. He wants to throw something in my sack now. Come on, Carlos. I know. All right, Carlos, thank you.
Okay, good.
All right. I moved it. I'm not going to move this time. It's like a game in the fun fair. I had to move. Right. So anyway, what's on my back? Come on, Junior. Come on, Junior. He wants to do this now. Go on. Look at that. He's sensible. Thank you. Right. Here's my sack of experiences on my back. And I'm walking around like this, yeah? And then sometimes you feel good, you feel a bit strong, you don't feel as much of the sack on your back. Yeah? All right? Now, in the right context, with the right coach, you can make connections with parts of these experiences that are in the sack, in the bag, in your archives. Now, these are not assets that you got. Now, your archives is like a mass of stuff which includes assets and resources as well, all experiences. And arguably, these experiences can become assets. Yeah? Or are assets, because every time you've fallen over, metaphorically and not, you have got through that. All the things you've been through your life, you have come out the other side. Yeah? So they become assets, but you need to connect with them. So all of a sudden, by making the connections through the kinesthetic, opens up the sack a little bit, because it's normally tight, because we're busy in life, walking around, boom, 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 acting out our facades. Facade. Great word, that. Facade. Pen, please. Obrigado. Okay. Thank you so much. Very good. All right. Great people here. So as we said the other day in our session, on the outside circle is your facades. So all the games you play. Now, some of these facades might be productive for you. Activities, doing things, filling up the space. Some of them might not be productive. The patterns you run. Now, here's your core. Yeah? And if you like, this is surrounded by, if we wanted to put here, different levels of life experiences. In different areas of your life. Yesterday, we chunked life experiences, or the other day, into life areas. But let's chunk them into experiences, life experiences. But underneath this is experiences or life experiences that have been squashed down in that sack. And the facades prevent us accessing these. So we go into a different state, like some of the states we've been doing here yesterday. So let's change that facade into accessing a different behavior. These facades are behaviors, yeah? So the behaviors we're doing here are opening our minds, and the way we're using language is to open our minds up so we can access these experiences and get to the core. Does this make sense? So in Marie's case and Sol's case, when it came to it, they didn't need to actually, I could have got the result without them knowing an experience, but in both cases, because the doorway opened, their unconscious said, here you are. Here you are. Here's something to work with. A memory that has been squashed away because, number one, we want to take care of you. The unconscious wants to take care of you. But number two, you're so wrapped up in your facade, you've lost touch with your core. Am I right? Who you are as your core. Your core is not an act. And it happened with both Sol and Marie by opening the door using the kinesthetic system. Good stuff? So this morning, when I worked with the person who come in, now we're working at quite a deep level here. We are on a master practitioner course, yeah? So when I worked this morning with a lady who came here to do a retake on her test, we're working at this level. What happens if you do? What happens if you don't? Moving the rep system. And it's very effective, actually. in getting to some resources here. Yeah, but your core is where all these resources are at the core, really. Yeah, and your best you, or the most honest version of you, is at the core. You know, so if I was asking somebody, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, you know, how do you know when you're being authentic? Because you haven't got an act. You know, when you're authentic, you're not putting on an act. Yeah, and therefore, vulnerability in some cases is authentic. Well, it is authentic, full stop. Vulnerability, honesty is authentic. You don't need to act as if. Now, we're all living in 2024 in different parts of the world. But most of us, what aligns us all, yeah, is not the parts of the world that we live in, our ages or anything like that. It's our desire for self-discovery, yeah, and our desire to maybe make the world a better place with these patterns. Okay? So you can't walk around being vulnerable in all areas of your life. You can here, and this is why the sacks are opening, the doors are opening for change, because you all know with each other, you trust each other as a group, yeah, and you trust online, you trust each other as a group, you trust me, and you trust what I'm doing. So therefore, it's like you're giving yourself permission to be vulnerable, to be able to open that door, go deep into the unconscious, and make the changes that you want to make, or the changes that perhaps you don't know that you want to make yet, but are there for the making. That's very good. Because sometimes you don't really know what you want because you've got so hypnotized with the facade. Yeah? Let's act like people looking at books and reading books on personal development. You know, get up early morning, make a list, do this, do that, go to the gym, boom, boom, boom. Yeah? Reader's Digest way of a happy life. Read what someone else suggests for you. That's a good idea. Let's follow someone else's map of the world. Now, it might be useful to get started, but you know what's right for you when you're not in your facade. You don't need to read a book that tells you what to do. Yeah? It's there, in you. You don't need it. All right? Now, it might be interesting to see and learn how other people, having other people's perspectives. Sure, learn about it. But it's not your mantra and it's not your Bible or your Quran or your whatever book script. It's not for you. You've got to write your own recipes for your own success. Yeah? And you know that. Of course, learn from others, because some people might have skills and resources that you don't have. But very rarely do I know anybody. You think about the thousands of people, yeah? I'm going to sit down now. You might have to adjust the cameras. If you think about the thousands of people who attend NLP seminars, or particularly seminars where they're told a recipe for success, that the seminar leader has actually used to get there, but hardly any of them follow it. You've done it yourself. You've gone off and spent big money on seminars. Yeah, very good value, this one. All right? So, and to get a recipe, let's get the steps for this. People go home, they don't follow it. All they do is talk about what they learned. They talk about it, but they don't do it. Because it's not them. Yeah, makes sense? So being at your core is all your strengths and all your vulnerabilities simultaneously without any bullshit. But again, when you go back into the real world, you've got to function. Yeah? And live and prosper. So there are ways to be here, and what I want to get at, that support your core. And they are the habits that you do, that you choose to do daily. Regarding your business, regarding your health, regarding your family, the habits and behaviors that you choose to do. So that you can live at your core. So, for example, you know, most people, or not most, anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur, yeah, usually it requires a talent of sales, selling things to people. Yeah, selling your product. Yeah? Now, a lot of people don't like that. Yeah, they don't like selling. Yeah, they don't like asking for money. Now, that has never been a problem for me, really. All right, to be fair. But some people don't like asking for, well, I mean asking for, I'm asking for money in return for giving you a service, yeah? But some people have a challenge with that. So they hide behind, let's make another Facebook post. Let's make another Instagram reel. You know, and the amount of people now that are spending so much time making Instagram reels and posts, which are useful to bring in business, but they're fucking scared to sell. Yeah, some people say they want to get fit, they can't be bothered to go to the gym. You know, you ain't going to get fit without doing something or keep your fitness. So they go, yeah, I'd love to be like this. I'd love to be healthier, but they don't take the actions to support that health. Mostly because it's not come from here. If you want to live a long life for you and those around you, you don't need to read someone else's book on how to read a long life. It might be useful to get the latest science, learn about nutrition, but you know what's right for you and your body knows what's right for you and you know what's not right for you. The thing is, then, when you're just following someone else's Bible, it's an unfulfilled life. That's when people then revert to sabotage because they're not being themselves. So the core, which is you, yeah, is who you really are, where at the core there is vulnerability and strength and honesty and perhaps dishonesty if someone's dishonest, because that's who they are. Maybe that dishonesty has to be resolved somewhere for some people. And maybe it's because some people have learned dishonesty, that why they're acting on the outside. If you're not honest with others, you can't be honest with yourself. Yeah, and if you're not honest with other people, all right, you will not be honest with yourself. You will never. I don't think you'll ever prosper because you've got a problem with abundancy. So how do you be abundant? Just being purely fucking honest with yourself and purely honest with the world and go out and deliver great stuff. That's from the core. Yeah. Now, again, to be spiritual at your core, you don't need it. You may have a belief system which is used. See, most spiritual systems are externally driven because you're responding to something outside of you that says if you behave in a certain way, you're going to be rewarded. Yeah, arguably, atheists are a lot more spiritual because they're not doing it for any return. You know, as far as they're concerned, you know, when they pop off, they pop off. So when an atheist or a non-believer does a good act, they're doing it out of kindness from themselves and probably doing it from their core. When somebody's doing a good act to please others, yeah, or to please God, rather than doing it because it's right, they're not from their core. Okay, does this make sense?